Oh, celebration to Madhavi and my special thanks to Dr. Prema Naraji, Vikar Kishore, and Manjuji for giving me this opportunity to interact in such a vital issue. Now, what I'm going to speak is all based on my experiences and in philosophy. I'm not a student of medical science. I'm a student of spirituality and political science. But what I have experienced in all days of my spirituality, I'll share those experiences with you. Thankfully, I'm working with the students from last 25 years, and I'm talking about that. It may sound a little unscientific, but to me, that is true. We are talking about most beautiful age of human being. Most beautiful age. The age of poetry, I must call. Poetic age. But unfortunately, when children should bloom and bloom and bloom, they are actually withering. I'm talking about India. I don't have much knowledge about the society outside India. And it may sound unhealthy to some, but I want to look beyond World Health Organization. So my perspective is Indian society alone, which I have seen and experienced. Usually it is said that the sound mind lives in a sound body, but Indian philosophy differs from this. Indian philosophy says that sound body lives in a sound mind because of sound mind. If mind is not sound, behavior is not sound, body cannot be sound. And actually this is the problem with this age, because they are passing through the time when they should have been more stout, more and more. They should be healthy, but they are not because of their mind and behavior. Because my time is cut by almost 50%. So I'll try to make a run, but still we'll give you topics for the discussions. That happens in seminars. We have to pay the prices of the mistakes that we have not committed. Anyway, so my second assumption is that mind rejects all those ideas which are impractical. How? This I will explain later on. One more thing that we must start talking with, that is about pressure. Pressure is increasing day by day, very less on bodies and much more upon minds. Very less on body. And what is happening to the body, as Dr. Gulati very beautifully explained, what is happening on the body is basically the reflexes of what mind is behaving. So, to me, mind and thoughts are more important, behavioral orders and disorders are more important than the body. The desires, the ambitions, and the pressure of performance. Initially, it used to start after 25, but now that has been lowered down to the age of 5 and 6. A small kid of 5th class or 6th class has to pass, unfortunately, has to pass through those pressures of performance. I'm really unable to understand what parents actually think and need from their kids. Thankfully, at the age of 5 and 6, there is no competition to be a doctor or engineer. Otherwise, these kids would have been participating in that also. So the age where maximum blooming of mind and behavior should have been, it had been crushed. And thereby, parents and schools alone are responsible for the behavioral disorders of students, adolescents, and youth. Minds are generating competition day by day. And if competition, the feeling of competition is unbridled, it increases feeling of jealousy, then feeling of unrest and fatigue. It disturbs our hormonal system and few parts of the brain, particularly amygdala and hypothalamus and frontal lobe. Endocrine hormones, dopamine, serotonin, and cortisol hormones, they are terribly disturbed and go out of the balance, which further create behavioral disorders among kids and youth. And I want to assert again that until and unless we become very practical and join the efforts, both the spiritual efforts as well as physiological efforts, we cannot make these children out of their behavioral disorders. Schools and parents must know this. This leads to cognitive problems, problems of headache, problems of fatigue, problems of ache in legs, problems of eyes, problems of throat, problems of the stomach, problems of breathing, problems of sugar levels. That is why my presumption I find very light that behavioral disorders actually create physical disorders in anybody, and particularly in students of this age. Now when they lose their strength, when they lose their immunity, they go for artificial strength. Drugs, loud music, DJs, friend parties, and some medicines they use for artificial strength, and later on they become a danger not for their health but also for the society and families. I may explain it if the questions are asked, otherwise I would think that what I am telling is already been understood. Now, students of this age and of the youth, they think that after taking this artificial strength, they will change the world, as normally it is being said, be aggressive, change the world. But actually, what happens? They change, world remains the same. And this creates further frustrations in them, because what we are explaining to our kids is totally impractical. World hardly changes by somebody's efforts. But somebody has to change himself first or herself first to change the world. That we hardly teach in our homes and schools. We teach our kids to change the world, but actually changing the world is possible when the kids are changed. That we hardly teach. And present is frustrations again. Now, what our mind needs, nearly 70 to 75% water. Then oxygen, what mind absorbs almost 20% of the oxygen of the body. Then 100 billion neurons, they need their own food. This is what our mind needs, and how can this be fulfilled? 20 minutes fasting under the rising sun, then rest. And when I am talking about rest, mind hardly rests. But when I am talking about rest, I am talking about rest from mobile phones, rest from internet, rest from music even, rest from talking to the peers. Rest is not a physical phenomenon. Rest is basically a behavioral phenomenon. So rest is very compulsory. And this is the reason why the concept of maun, silence, is there in Indian spiritual system. The silence actually makes one very healthy and stout, capable to think better, capable to control the anger, capable to control other behavioral disorders, which I am not explaining right now. But silence is very important. Silence of the mind, that's very important. Then food. I have seen most of the urban families are encouraging their kids for the junk food. I'm sure they are not doing it deliberately, but because they do not know what the contents this junk food possess. And one very important content, that is omega-3, is not joining the body, and which is very important for the development, for the growth of the brain, for the mind, but that they are not having. And hence, what my experience is, yoga is very important. Unfortunately, the meaning and nature of yoga is changed in this world. That word speaks only for the physical exercises. But I am talking about functional spirituality. Yoga means a bit of physical exercise. Then most part of the yoga is actually meditation, keeping oneself very cool and calm. And then satsang means counseling. In modern terminology, it is counseling. So, in 10 minutes, what I could present, the basic physiological reasons of the problems of behavioral disorders, and little bit solutions, because in 10 minutes I could do this only. Lastly, we need to go beyond what WHO says, and we do need to ameliorate the system of parenting first and then schooling, because most of the time children live with their parents. Thank you so much.